Hello everyone. So this is the third session on post-hoc item analysis in medical education, and we'll be reviewing the actual exam analysis using the item analysis as a template. So this is a sample item analysis from an actual exam. So we'll walk through each column, item number. So we have the p-value, which is the difficulty index, and then we have the discrimination index, and lastly is the distractor efficiency. So if you just look at the item number 2, it has a p-value of 0.9 and a discrimination index of 0.05. 0.9 means 90% of the students were able to answer it correctly, and 0.05 shows low discrimination. So this item, and if you just look at the distractor efficiency, only 1 out of the 3 were good distractors. So this item needs to be reviewed by the faculty, and then appropriate decision needs to be taken in terms of whether you want to retain this item or not. So if you just look at item number 4, it has a p-value of 0.25 and a discrimination index of 0.2 and a distractor efficiency of 2 by 3. So 0.25 means only 25% of the students were able to answer this correctly. So it is a fairly difficult item. So although it is a difficult item, but it has good discrimination or acceptable discrimination. So this can either be retained or removed if the faculty agrees to it. So items with full distractor efficiency, that is 3 by 3, are well constructed, but a balanced mix of item difficulties supports reliability. So in terms of reliability, the overall internal consistency of the exam test scores, measures of more than 0.8 they indicate good reliability, and by reliability means the test is measuring what it is intended to measure, and it also reflects average inter-item correlation. Higher reliability supports also test validity. So this is an example of how to interpret the convex alpha or the reliability of the exam test scores. So zero point 0.9 are excellent reliability, but for a high stakes exam, 0.8 to 0.9 is acceptable. And if you go down below, if it's 0.5 or below, this is questionable reliability, and the test should not contribute heavily to the course grade. I mean, it should not be 0.5 reliability, should not be of a summative exam. Now, we'll move on to the post hoc review process. I mean, how is item analysis used for for increasing the reliability and validity of the exam process? So what happens is, after an exam, but before the exam tests are announced, the item analysis reports are run by the software, and immediately after the exam, and all of those items that have extreme p-values or low discrimination index are flagged or highlighted, and then these items, these questions are then reviewed by the faculty for clarity, and then the content or subject experts are invited for instructional adjustments or scaling. The problematic items are then either revised, the key is either changed, or the whole question is removed from the question bank. So, and lastly, the revised items are then retested in pilot or live settings. So the whole process of the item analysis is related to the statistics of how the item is perceived or taken by the students. So the problem with maintaining a good quality item bank is to have uh, questions with good psychometric properties. However, this is very difficult to maintain, and that is why there are always challenges in maintaining a good item bank. So what are the flagging guidelines? institutional guidelines. So we are just showing here DAW University of Health Sciences policy. So in terms of flagging these item analysis, so difficulty index, if it's less than 0.2, is usually flagged, and point by serial correlation coefficient if it's less than 0.1. Convex alpha, if the item is deleted, is increases by more than 0.01, then these items or these questions are flagged. And by flagging, it means then these items will be reviewed by the faculty. And this faculty is usually a panel of at least 2 subject matter experts, and it is recommended to have at least 3 subject experts, and then they will review this item in terms of its accuracy, clarity, and alignment with the blueprint or the table of specifications. And then the faculty will decide to retain, modify the key, or remove the item. Then once the decisions have been taken, then the examination department scales are perform scaling through recalculation of scores if any keys are changed, and then the final results are published after the review decisions are implemented. Now, this decision making, I'm trying to emphasize how the decision making process is affected by the item analysis. So the questions that have been highlighted or flagged, they are either retained, they are revised, eliminated, or they are kept as such. So what are the criteria for retaining them, for revising them, or eliminating them? So those items are retained which have acceptable metrics and they have clear wording. Items with ambiguous stems, weak distractors, or minor key errors are revised, but not during the exam. During the exam, they're only highlighted. So items with flawed keys are consistently negative performance patterns are usually eliminated. Now, what are the software tools that are available for item analysis? So we have Canvas quiz analytics, but it usually takes up to 100 students, not more than 100 students. Then we have ExamSoft item analysis, and this is a paid software. We have SPSS, CTT, and IRT packages as well, but these packages are also paid. Then you have the Moodle analytics and plugins. Now these are usually free and they can be incorporated. Now, what are the best practices and guidelines in terms of item analysis? So the modern recommendations are that new questions, they should be piloted before they are scored. So there should be more formative assessments, and from the formative assessments, these items then with good psychometrics could be selected for summative exam. And the whole purpose of doing this is to maintain an item bank with with questions with good psychometrics and with performance metadata. Furthermore, the questions, they could be aligned with the competency frameworks such as the entrustable professional activities. And for feedback, it is recommended to have a combination of quantitative metrics with qualitative feedback. And for this to happen, we need to ensure that regular faculty calibration and item writing is performed. So what are the common pitfalls and solutions? So we cannot just totally rely on statistics or psychometrics without expert review. So statistics backs up the decisions and it enables the experts to come to a decision. And another thing is non-functional distractors are usually ignored, but the faculty should be looking at not only constructing good items, but also looking at non-functional distractors. And sometimes what happens is the questions, they do not align with the test blueprint or the table of specifications. Furthermore, questions that are flagged during the item analysis, they need to be documented for revisions. And these item banks, they need to be longitudinally tracked. So finally, summary, the key takeaway is that post-hoc item analysis is critical for quality assessment of item banks. And we need to ensure that these key psychometrics are well understood by the faculty, and they are used effectively in taking decisions whether to retain or to eliminate test items. So these modern tools are here, these software are here to streamline the psychometric analysis and to integrate findings into continuous improvement cycles so as to have a bank with good psychometric properties. So thank you all for listening.